Okay, so we just switched cameras. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna have fun with you guys over here. Um, this should be a little bit better for now. And then I just have to rearrange some of the stuff that I'm looking at. But I'm pretty excited. So this is one of two streams today. And we're gonna be hanging out for a couple hours because there's a million cards reprinted. I don't have enough time to make like a really, I don't know, thought out video of doing everything. So we're just gonna do it live, which is kind of what we do for most card reveals, if I'm being honest, because just so many cards all at once now. Now that you have this content creator week, and shout out to all the content creators so far that have been able to reveal a card. There's been a billion of them, and it's just way too many to like go through piece by piece by piece. So we're gonna do our best to kind of walk through these cards. And if you see something you like, if you want to chat about something, definitely hit me up in the comments. You guys are already on fire this morning. It has been quite some time since we have been on a live stream, so if anything doesn't sound right, definitely let me know if the volume's not coming through well enough, all those things like that. So, but last weekend, or last week now, which is crazy, it's already been a week. By this time last week, Jasmine Fearless Princess was already not revealed per se, but found in the Gen Con booth. It was on one of the banners, which I kind of found really hysterical, is that people were going into Gen Con, they were looking at all the pretty booths and things like that, and they found this wonderful Jasmine Fearless Princess, which is the 5-cost inkable, 3 strength, 7 willpower, 2 lore, with 2 abilities. Take the leap. During your turn, this character gains evasive. And now's my chance. Choose and discard a card. This character gains Challenger +3 this turn. Yeah, I don't know. This card seems like fine, right? The stats are good as long as Medusa's not reprinted. So that's good. They did 6 reveals at Gen Con. I feel like we did, well, yes, they did more than that, right? Because we also had the live show. Was that only new cards? I don't know. I was there. It was a week ago, right? There's been a lot that has happened since then. The good news is that we're going to follow along on the Facebook, like on our Facebook, which myself and Melissa basically posted 10 million photos of. So we're gonna let the story of the last week tell itself through mine and Melissa, and of course whatever Scott was able to pick up here and there. But this was definitely the first card that I was sitting and talking with, I believe, Emerald Shatter on X, and I'm bad at this. This was a week ago. I already forget. There was another individual that I was talking to as well, and this card like kind of came up. I got pinged, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's probably a Gen Con somewhere," and I just haven't seen it yet. So I feel like this card is fine. This choose and discard. This character gains Challenger +3 is interesting because there's no limit to it. So there is a world where this card combos with a card that was revealed this morning, and that might be kind of cool. But all in all, I think that the card is mostly just meh. I will say like a 6/7 at the cost of discarding a card is not irrelevant, specifically because it's any card. It's not like a specific card that you have to play to buff your character. So there might be some love for the Fearless Princess, but at this current juncture, I'm not necessarily excited by this card. So I don't know. That's just kind of me right now. Let's see. Where else? Where was that? So that was here. Something new. So we got a Belle, right? We got the Belle Mystic. What's her name again, guys? I forget. She's getting reprinted. I should be better at this. But this thing is very interesting, very cool. I really like what this looks like. I'll be excited to see what the live product of this looks like. Obviously, this was coming in for the Disneyland adventures. You'll be able to purchase this the August 29th, I believe, which is pretty awesome. So if you live in the California area, that's pretty crazy. I did see I did see these, and I think that they should be on here at some point later. So we'll definitely talking about them too. I will say that I like I like these products, but what I don't like is how short of a time frame that we are getting them. You know, it just feels like accomplished mystic. There you go. Thank you so much. We needed that. I just couldn't remember the name. I really couldn't. Um, so I really like that this is happening, and I love that it feels like every year we are getting one of these. I believe last year around this time we got the D23s, which were really cool, really nice, and they gave us some some awesome inked looking cards, which I thought was great. So I love the idea of the product. I just wish we knew about the product more in advance. I feel like obviously not everyone is just going to fly to Disneyland and go and purchase. It is really cool though. Shout out to our friend JDZ. He's actually commentating event in Anaheim this same weekend. So there is a like an event to be played at. So it kind of gives you a little bit more of an incentive to go and see it. So maybe that's good enough. But all in all, I think Belle is a phenomenal reprint. In all honesty, I think that she's one of the better cards that has been underutilized. And if you guys watched one of the videos on the channel recently, and me talking about like why a card should be reprinted, I think in the format with a lot of character on character challenging, not as many songs particularly, that Belle is the kind of card that I love. I think I talk about Belle a little bit in another video that hasn't come out yet, but she just fits this game very, very well. And I think that she's a great reprint for Fabled. I was very excited to see her come back. Let's see. Let's just click through some of these. What do we got? We're gonna be talking about some of this stuff later on the stream with me and Dick. Obviously, we had seen the two iconics here. First and foremost, I think these cards are absolutely gorgeous. I'll try and make this a little bit bigger. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, these cards are just insane, right? I do not know. I do not know if these cards are good and will be playable. The Mickey is interesting, but the shift options I think are quite limited. And like because of that, it might not be good enough. Like right now, what do we have? Like Sticky Mickey. We have the Flag Bearer Mickey. So we have some steel options. I'm not sure how many more options we have outside of that. So it's interesting, but like shift 5 for a 5/5 evasive with 3 lore seems kind of okay, right? I don't know. Seems fine. The Minnie Mouse, on the other hand, your character's name, Mickey Mouse, gains support, kind of whatever. Bye now. When this character quests, you may banish chosen exerted character with 5 strength or more. Like, that seems kind of close to good enough in a format without removal. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's debatable, but the cards themselves are absolutely gorgeous, for sure. Pretty excited for BKU. I do agree. Is everyone afraid of Sapphire Amethyst will dominate the format? I don't think so. I think it'll be good, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, right? And I'll come in. We'll chat for a second here. I think that if rotation accomplishes a world that dramatically changes what we're used to, I think it's a good thing. Like we've lived in a world for so long where Amber Steel Songs has been the best deck. Like Emerald Steel Discard has been a deck that's been pretty much since the existence of DLCs, like dominated competitive constructed play. Ruby Sapphire has been so dominant for so long. Ruby Amethyst has been so dominant for so long. So I think that if you tell me that all of a sudden like Sapphire Amethyst, and particularly, a world where like an archetype of Frozen, as an example, with Anna's Nelsons and things like that, is all of a sudden one of the best decks in the game, I think that's a good thing. I think that you're moving towards the right direction. Same goes for like Turnidogs, like anything that can invite players that specifically have interest in a movie, in characters. If you can say like, hey, there is a movie themed deck that's actually good, that you can kind of walk in and be competitive, I think that's a good step in the right direction. And specifically in like the world of Amber Emerald and Sapphire Amethyst, like these decks that were fringe, right? Like they were never top tier, they're never tier 1. They just like that's just not true. It's like the data doesn't prove it. So I think it's a good thing for those things. And if if you can convince me that Ruby Steel is good, you can convince me that Emerald Ruby is good. Yeah, I think that that's all, like, that's a good position for the game. If we can make those type of changes and like finally have some identity to offsetting in combinations, whether it be through like movie archetypes or whatever, I think that that's a healthy thing for the metagame, if you ask me. Let's see. There's a lot of you guys. 5-drop Ruby Song is definitely coming. Singer 5, maybe. Singable Dragonfire would be cracked. Sapphire is the new best deck. Sounds good to me. Yeah, here, I'm with you. Ruby Singers. Yeah, we're going to talk about those in a second. If there's a card that can make my characters enter exert it, Genie, that's possible. It's possible. Interesting. Sen might be seen play, and I think there's 0% chance to get called Frozen or Elsa on a mid-range over Blower. Maybe. We got to try. We have to try hard enough, right? We got to try hard enough. All right, so let's keep it going. So some of these big reprints were kind of great. You can't really do this, but raise your hand if you're excited for foil promo strength, just so you don't have to buy foil strengths, since there was a point in time where those were like $30 or $40. I'm excited. I hope that the foiling on these looks awesome. Thank you, Christian. I'm very excited for all three of these reprints, and I'm excited for multiple levels. The idea that, if like these are the type of league promos, if Maleficent is the set champ promo, I think that these are the type of cards that gets people back into stores, right? And I'll come and rant here for a second, because I don't know how your guys' set champs have been, but I feel like in our area they've been super meh, and that's really, really unfortunate. And I think that for league promos to be these kind of like iconic playable cards is a big deal. And I think that that's where I'm most excited for them. Like this world where we have some of the best and most defining cards for a period of time. I mean, obviously Sisu has been going forever. Strength of Raging Fire has been going forever. Curse Merfolk like definitely had a time where it was very playable and very powerful. And now in a format with less removal, like 2 lore for 1 just seems so very good. And I think that that's what I'm most excited for. I'm most excited that this is an excuse to go and play in League. And that is what I'm most excited about, is that like this really will give me like a reason, like, hey, doesn't matter what night it is. If a store is hosting an event, I can go and hopefully, because of that, find some love in the format and just get rewarded with good cards, with playable cards. I'm very excited. I'm hoping that is definitely good enough. We'll see, though. We'll see. All in all, I think that these 3 reprints were some of the best, and I'm excited definitely for the format because of them. I think we desperately needed Strength of Raging Fire. I think we desperately needed Sisu, and I think it's fine to reward with the Emerald Curse Merfolk. So all in all, very happy about all these. So some of these cards are a bit new. We have Alice, the Accidentally Adrift, the 4-cost, inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore, with the ability Washed Away. When you play this character, you may put chosen item into its player's inkwell face and exert it. And then I think it's Making Waves. When this character requests, chosen opposing character gets -2 strength this turn. This card's probably not good enough. It's understated. The lore's not great enough. The item effect seemingly seems irrelevant. And like questing with this character probably doesn't happen. There's just better cards for this, right? The Queen, on the other hand, is the 3-cost, inkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore with support, and the ability Royal Summons. At the start of your turn, you may choose and discard a princess or a queen character card to return a character card from your discard to your hand. I don't know how good this is. Her stats are fine. The ability is, I don't know, kind of like whatever, right? Like it does lock you into the queen. There is like some reward here for the queen sensor core. So it's like this potential way to like continuously draw cards, but I don't know what the payoff is. If this character had 2 lore, it would be a lot closer, but I think like with support, and 2 lore, it's probably just like a tad bit over. So I don't know. I think the card's interesting, but I'm not like crazy about it. Obviously, Belle's not reprinted, but it does have this new promo logo on it. So another like cool way to see these characters all, kind of conjoin to do some different things. But I don't know. I think that both these cards are kind of meh. We'll see. We'll see if it goes over though. Obviously, this card is absolutely phenomenal. The worst part about the Dragonfires, or I'm sorry, the Maleficents, the Set Chance Maleficents, is the idea that 2 of the 4 weekends are during DLCs that I'll be attending, which means that's 2 less weeks I'll be able to play with this card. So that's very frustrating for me, but that's life. All right, so we have Dumbo and Timothy Q Mouse. So Dumbo is a 3-cost inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower. This is the flying elephant. There are 2 Dumbos, by the way. This one has evasive to 2/2 aerial duo. When you play this character, chosen character gains evasive in the start of your next turn. I think that this card's fine. I don't know that it's great. There's a lot of 3-cost 2/2s with evasive out there, none of which are like dramatically good. So I think that this one might fall short as well. 2-cost 1/4 for Timothy Q Mouse, the 1 lore, and then let's show him Dumbo. When you have a character with evasive in play, this character gains +1 lore. Again, not too crazy about this one. I don't think that Timothy will see too much play. Shout out to the Feather, though. Obviously, there's a nice little wombo combo there going on. There's Dumbo by himself. And then we have another Mickey. We have another Minnie. This is like the normal version of the Mickey. Again, I think this card feels to me like it's missing a good shift target. Like if Mickey Detective were there, like blue-red might have something interesting to go with it, right? Like you can just Mickey Detective on 3 and then instantly shift into a 5/5 with 3 lore. But we don't have Mickey Detective, so I don't know. Like, I just don't know where we're going with this. I don't know how many like good playable Mickeys there are to rely on. We'll have to see where that goes. But shout out to the Brave Little Prince, super flavorful, right? And then this is the normal Minnie Mouse, and then Dumbo was also a promo. That's kind of cool. Timothy. All right, so we're gonna back up a little bit here. We're gonna talk about Powerline. So Powerline, the world's greatest rock star, is a 6-cost inkable, 6 strength, 4 willpower, 2 lore with shift 4, singer 9, and the ability mashup. Once during your turn, whenever this character sings a song, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a song card with cost 9 or less and play it for free. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This card is super cool. I really love everything it does. I like that it's a red, like Ruby Singer. I love that it's a +3 on a 6-cost. I think that is the correct design for Singer. I think that we've seen cards in the past that are smaller that have a higher Singer, and they're not, normally that good because the cards don't really match. But I think Singer 9, saying that we can sing literally, basically everything in the game that's relevant, I think is very good. I think it's very cool. I think it's very fitting. I will also say, we're going to talk about this probably tonight a little bit more. The video for Power Singer, or for Powerline, that was with Nicholas Cole, that was edited and filmed by Tate, was one of the best pieces of Disney Lorcana content I think ever made. If you haven't seen it yet, I believe it's on the Ravensburger North America YouTube channel. 100% you should go watch it because it was just phenomenal. But yeah, I think that this card is kind of great. I hope that this card is good. It's so difficult to say whether or not it will be, but with an ability like that and the amount of things that you can do in a turn because of this card, it feels like this card has like no choice but to be good. So I'm pretty excited for Powerline. I definitely think it's going to be a potential winner. I loved seeing you can see some of like the designs process here, some of the different ways, some of the art. Obviously, the enchantment is pretty cracked. This has the potential. I don't know if it's can be Elsa level, but I think it's definitely set 7 Tamatoa level, where to start this card might be $300-400. If the card ends up being super playable, it'll probably hit $500-600. If Powerline is as strong as an IP as I am told that it is. This card might be Elsa level. So this is definitely is the lottery, I would say, for current status of Fabled. Standout. This card is pretty cool. The 3-cost Inkable Song for Emerald, and its chosen character gets +3 and gains evasive in the start of your next turn. I like this type of buff a bunch. I think that some of the best cards in the format are evasive. So Emerald getting a natural song that kind of just like allows literally your 1-cost character to just run into a genie is pretty great. So strong disagree on the value of that card. Why? You don't think it's going to be $300-$400? Like, honestly, I think that, I don't know. I would love to be wrong, but I just feel, I like genuinely feel that card is going to be like $400 or $500. Like, I just think it's too good. I don't know. But I'm here to listen to why you don't think it's going to be that, or if you think it's going to be more. Either way, I'm curious. So yeah, I think Standout's good. Their evasives are just going to be running the format, so you know, tough to say. Eye to Eye. So Eye to Eye is a 9-cost Sing Together 9. Each player draws 2 cards and gains 2 lore. If 2 or more characters sang the song, ready them, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. I don't know. Like, this card, I understand why the card does what it does, but I don't know that I ever want to go through the trouble of Sing Together 9 to also give my opponent 2 cards and let them gain 2 lore, right? Like, that seems crazy. So for me, I don't think this card's very playable. You know, specifically in the decks that want to play this, you're going to be slower decks, and you know, you're going to be trying to set up these like combo song type things. And unless you're winning the game, like when you play this card, giving your opponent 2 cards and 2 lore might literally lose you the game. So I don't currently see this card as like a playable choice in my humble opinion. I think that Sing Together 9 and giving your opponent a benefit just seems actually insane. Whether it's flavorful or not is just whatever. But man, it feels so bad because I know that this is like an iconic song. This is even one of the songs that I even know. So as like not the hugest Disney person and everything like that, like the idea that even I know this song, you know, from start to finish, and then it comes out and it just seems like a really unplayable card. That feels pretty bad. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe someone will find a way to break this, but giving your opponent 2 lore and 2 cards just feels way too good. I think if you only gave them to draw like 2 cards, maybe we're close. But like the idea that they also get the lore, not for me. Not for me. Enchanted does look cool though. Won't lie. Does look good. So yeah, this set championship playmat, absolutely correct, right? Like holy crap, insane good. Better look at these cards. Again, it was like me. I was on one side of the room for press. Melissa was on the other side of the room. That's why you see the different images that pop up. We're going to talk about all this stuff later. Yeah, we're going to talk about all that stuff later when it's me and Dick on the pod. So this is a pretty cool one. We can talk about Dumbo here. So the Dumbo is a legendary. This is a legendary. This is also one of the enchantments. So he's a 4-cost, inkable, 3-strand, 3 willpower with evasive and then breaking records. You may pay 1 and exert to draw a card with Dumbo. And then he also has the ability making history. Your other characters gain evasive and then gain exert and pay 1 to draw a card and gain a lore. So like I think that people are very hype on this card. And if I'm being honest, I'm not very hype on this card. I have been like building a lot of decks recently, and this card just doesn't really fit into a slot for me. I think that in a format has a very high potential of being aggressive. This card is almost unplayable. You're just like not going to have time to ever utilize this ability if if I'm being honest. Like, the only time this is going to be relevant is if somehow you pair the other Amethyst control deck and you were the guy that got Dumbo and your opponent was not Dumbo. But in a lot of the format, I think it's going to be inked, which is like, thank God. Like, thankfully, this card's inkable. If this card was uninkable, I actually think it would be unplayable. So because it's inkable, it has a place, because like in the control mirrors, it certainly is going to be very good. But it's also hard to argue that, like, is this card better than the library? Is this card better than Finders Keepers? Like, is this card enough to win you the game in control mirrors? Like, I think that's all very difficult to say right now, specifically in a world where I think the format is shaping up to be very, very aggressive. And you're going to have to, like, be weary that this card is just always ink in that matchup almost all the time. So, yeah, I think that it's cool. I think it's a unique legendary, but I think that it's very meta dependent if this card's going to actually be good. But again, thankfully it's inkable, so we'll see. We also have Ariel here. Let me see if there's a better image of Ariel. I don't remember exactly what she does. That was the first card revealed. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what this Ariel does. So whenever you play song, choosing character, gain space. Oh, is this is a reprint, right? Or no? Is it? This is a reprint? I can't remember. Is this the card from set 4, right? This is like whenever you play a song, you can give a character evasive. So this is a reprint card. Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, so this is just a 3-cost 2/3 with 1 lore, I believe. Maybe it's 2 lore, I can't remember. I think it's just 1 lore, and then yeah, whenever you play a song, you can give another character evasive. So this card's fine. They made an enchant this time. Yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So Aerial Sonic Warrior, to double down, was the first card revealed by the duo here. So the 6-cost inkable, 3 strength, 8 willpower, 2 lore with shift 4 and amplified voice. Whenever you play a song, you may pay 2 ink to deal 3 damage to chosen character. Yeah, this card's obviously very good right now in the metagame, because you get to double down on all the incredibly good steel songs that are in the format. I don't know how true that is in the rotation. Currently, we just only have Strength of a Raging Fire. We did get World's Greatest Criminal Mind back, so we can talk about that shortly. But there's not a lot of, insanely playable songs to make this card feel really, really good. I do like the idea that it takes some fair cards and make them unfair. Like I'm Still Here as an example, give resist, and then deal 3 damage. Like that all makes sense, but I don't know that it's enough to make this card like really good. I don't know if it's going to be correct to play 18, 20 songs in your deck, if that makes sense. Whereas like right now, playing 17 to 19 songs in your deck makes this card super good. And I think that that's the worry. But if we just want to talk about shift 4, then like maybe this card's just good enough. Like being a 3/8 with 2 lore and then amplified voice might just be good enough for stats alone. So that's kind of notable. But her ability of amplified voice is definitely not nearly as good in rotation as it is right now. So time will tell on Ariel, but still a nice reprint, I think, in general. Coconut Basket. Nobody's going to care about this, right? I know that this was an uncommon that got downshifted to a common. That is kind of whatever, but yeah, I mean, like let's be honest here, guys. No one's going to play Coconut Basket. At least I don't think they are. We never have. We probably never will. Moana Montanui. Again, this was a reprint. I think it's rare to rare, so no downgrade there. Just a 1/6 with 3 lore. It locks you into princesses. So I think this card is like strictly worse than Goofy probably, but it just kind of is. It also is just a 3 lore card. So I don't know. I don't think so. Moana had a very, very short period of time in chapter 1. I don't think that this card is going to make too big of an impact in chapter 9. Robin Hood on the other example, 2-cost 1/3 skirmish. Exert, deal 1 damage to chosen character with 1 lore. This card might only see play because Sheriff of Nottingham got reprinted. And it seems that most of the cards that are being reprinted that are those iconic shift characters, their 1-cost versions are not being reprinted. So this might be the only Robin Hood, well, not the only, but one of the only Robin Hoods like in Steel. Obviously, there's the Emerald one that's also a 2-cost that you can shift on. So I think that this like might just be playable by that design. So if Robin Hood Sheriff of Nottingham is a good card in the format, then you need a shift target for it, and then this just like by default becomes that shift target. So unless they reprint the 1-cost 2/2s, I do think that this card will probably see some play. Improvise. Chosen character gets +1 strength this turn. Draw a card. For 1, this card's fine. If if illusions start running wild, maybe this card becomes even better. The +1 strength, like, it's not irrelevant. I think the format is a lot about challenging, and because it's a lot about challenging, like, this card might be good enough, which is hilarious to say, but it's possible that this card does get to see some level of play. That's stuff that we'll talk about later. We're going to talk about all this stuff later with Dick Burns. Not the best picture of JD, but we did get Mulan reprinted. I think I missed this one. I can't remember if I was there or not. But this was a cool one. This is obviously the legendary Mulan from set 4. She got downshifted to a super rare, which is one of the things that does not shock me at all. And I had this conversation over the weekend, and we can have it now. People seem to be upset about the legendary downshift. And here's why I don't think you should be. I think that if you look at the legendaries in the game, for a period of time in design, they would tell us like they're a legendary because of a unique ability. And I believe in sets 1 through 6, for the most part, that's very true. But I think that as soon as we got to set 7 and set 8 and we were given dueling cards, I feel like the dueling cards kind of took away from legendaries. So like the definition of being special, of being unique, having this unique ability, I feel like it was removed the moment that we got dueling cards. And I think because of that, we end up in this world where, downshifting a Mulan to a super rare doesn't feel as like that impactful because there's cards in Ruby Steel that kind of look like this card, and there's just like other cards in the game that because of dueling purposes, like they kind of do things that are similar because they're locked into that. So I feel that the moment you print dueling cards the way they are and how they are unique, that it just removes any of my problems with downshifting legendaries. So I don't know. No, this card was legendary in set 4. Yeah, she's a legendary set 4. She came in she was also an inked version in the Ursula's Return Quest. So yeah, this is definitely a legendary down, and she's not the only one. The Alice also got downshifted. So yeah, I think that it's okay. Like, I mean, obviously I've played a million games in my life and I've seen cards go from, mythic to like rare or whatever. So like, it's not surprising to me, but it's also, I think that they're not doing themselves a disservice because they created dueling cards. I think if duelings didn't exist and a lot of those abilities got locked to legendary cards, like let's just say like Ink Geyser was an Emerald legendary, like, and it wasn't an Emerald Sapphire card, it'd be like, okay, yeah, like I get it, like this card's just good and that ability is unique. But because it's a dueling card and it's not a legendary, it's like a rare or whatever, I feel like that opened the door for them to just downshift cards that are legendary, because now unique cards are just as likely to be a dueling card as they are a legendary card. So I think that's just kind of where I'm at. I think it's okay. But I do understand, like, in general, the frustration around it. Other way. In general, I do think that Mulan's a good reprint, by the way. I mean, I had it in the last video, but I do think that like Mulan is like generally a good card for the format. We also, I believe it was spoiled that we got the 1-cost back too. So this is great. I'm excited for Mulan in general. Queen of Hearts, the 3-cost, 3/3, 1 lore. Always here are my ways. Whenever this character quests, your other villain characters gain +1 lore this turn. I'm not particularly excited about this card, right? I think the game has changed and some legendary cards don't feel. 100%. I do agree with this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like crazy excited about this card. I don't think that Queen has ever really done anything impactful, and I don't foresee her doing anything right now either. But I mean, happy if she does. This was obviously the Goofy promo this past weekend. This is still 4 months away, so we won't worry about it. The Illumineers, Liam and Aaron, were revealing Aurora. I think Aurora is another one that's a very interesting addition to the format. You know, the ability to give everything ward, I think, has the potential to be impactful. We've seen some versions of this card actually seeing play right now. Shout out to my team member, John. He actually won 2 set championships with a Sapphire Amethyst deck that had this character in it. So there's some layers that this card like has a potential to be impactful in that deck again. But all in all, I think this is a good reprint in general. I think that this is the type of reprint that makes sense. I don't know how many shift auroras there are to worry about. I don't think that that's like the point of this card, but Ward is a pretty kind of insane card. I'm sorry, Ward is kind of an insane like ability. We've lost a lot of the playable Ward characters. So all of a sudden, if you can tell me that I can play a 3/5 that gives all my other characters Ward, that, hopefully, again, crossing fingers, Medusa does not exist, and it just doesn't get instantly banished that way, then I think that this card might have some level of potential. We'll have to see where it fits, though. A Pirate's Life got reprinted. So yeah, 6 cost inkable, staying together 6. Each opponent loses 2 lore, and you gain 2 lore. Show of hands. Who's excited for a Pirate's Life? I am excited because it's a Sing Together, and I really, I was pushing for Sing Togethers to come back, but I'm not excited for a potential another year of Pirate's Life and Maui Shark. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I was happy for Maui Shark to lose a Pirate's Life, but here we are. It's back. That's kind of life. Prince Philip gets the reprint. This is the big Prince Philip. Has shift. I believe it's evasive too, and then like when this comes into play, it banishes all damaged characters. I think this is a good reprint. It's massive. If we're gonna talk about Circle of Life soon. If this card like can find a way to be played in Circle of Life or Return of Hercules decks, I'm cool with it. All in all, this card has been fringe playable, so maybe in a less powered down format, the card gets a little bit more love. I don't know. Hard to say. Dun, dun, dun. Elsa. So Elsa, Spirit of Winter, got revealed by Alan here. Alan is he's a Disney creator, I think a Parks creator. Year 1 year. Well, Maui Shark would rotate next year. Maui Shark is in what, set 6, right? Yeah. So Maui Shark will rotate next year. So a Pirate's Life will still, well, no, I think sets 5 through 9 will all rotate next year, right? It'll be 10 to whatever. Or am I wrong? Or is it 9? It'll be 9 to whatever. Yeah, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's that way, right? Yeah. Yes. There you go. Maui Half Shark will be the one that rotates. So yeah, so 5 through 8 will rotate, but 9 will live on. So we'll have a Pirate's Life for 2 more years, but hopefully we won't have Maui Shark for 2 more years. So Elsa Spirit of Winter is a great reprint, right? The only thing I don't like about Elsa Spirit of Winter reprint is that I feel like it might invalidate the Dual Ink Elsa, which I was completely excited to be a playable card in the format, mostly because it's a DLC promo. But I do worry that with Elsa Spirit of Winter, this card is just strictly better, and it might just completely invalidate the Duel Link card. I don't know if anyone else agrees or disagrees with that. But I think the card's great. I think it'll definitely see play again. And that's all good and dandy because I think that makes it a solid reprint in the format. I think that, the ability to freeze stuff is very good in the format. So we'll have to see. But it does kind of sting a little bit that the Duel Link Elsa probably just doesn't see any play now. Shout out to our friend here. Look at that. That was beautiful. What a good open in the 10 a.m. sealed. Katie, the lore keeper's in, was able to reveal Surfer Stitch, the carefree surfer himself. I think this is another really good reprint for the format. I kind of predicted this one. I was like, hey, I think this card makes sense. I think having this amber drawl that's not Rapunzel is pretty important. So I think that this is a very good card for the format. I think it makes a lot of sense. We also just got Look at This Family back. So, I think that this is just what you're going to have to accept. If you're an Amber player, you're no longer going to have Rapunzel most likely, and you're just going to have to live life without it. And you're going to have to play cards like Surfer Stitch and Look at This Family and kind of just accept it at this point. Be Our Guest got reprinted. 2-cost sinkable song. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character card and put it into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I think this is a perfectly good reprint. I think that the more and more you look at it, I think that we have to just come to this understanding that a lot of the cards in the format are 1-for-1s, and this is just a simple 1-for-1 that's being added, and it's okay. We're going to be okay. So I think that's where we're at right now. You just have to kind of just accept every card in the game on average is going to only draw you 1 card, or there's going to be some attachment to it, right? Doc has an attachment to it. You have to discard your hand to draw cards. Desperate Plan, you have to discard your hand and draw that many cards, or have no cards in your hand and draw that many cards. Beyond the Horizons, a 7-cost Sing Together. These are just some of the examples because they're cards that I'm very familiar with and I've been playing. But we'll get there, Melissa. All right, we'll get there. Calm down. Yeah, so I think Be Our Guest in general, good card for the format. Cheap, sing, inkable, all good things. All good things. Where's my Olaf? Oh, this is all our friends. Hold on. This is all of our friends. Let's exit out and then find out where we left off. I guess we'll reload. We'll see what Melissa's talking about if they're already here. Did we get posted? What do we got? All right. We got Luisa Madrigal. 4-cost, uninkable, 4 strength, 3 willpower, rush. I think there's already a 4-cost uninkable in the format that's better than this, so therefore I don't think Luisa will see any play. Hey Hey gets reprinted. The 3-cost. Yeah, this is the set 4 Hey Hey. I got confused for a second because I didn't see a 9, but then I realized I'm like, oh wait, she used the card. This makes a lot of sense. So yeah, this card seems fine, right? I don't know. Never saw a lot of play, but in this format, going second, it seems very difficult to say I'm gonna play a 2/4 on turn 4, which might be part of the problem. So I in this format, I don't know that that's good enough. So probably not hitting it. I guess we're going in reverse order now. So now we have Genie. So Genie is the 4-cost inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore with evasive and the ability Let's Make Some Magic. When you play, while this character is exerted, your other characters gets +2 lore. I don't love this card. Sorry, +2 strength. My bad. I don't love this card because the power of Cricky was when you played Cricky. So if your opponent knows that all of a sudden you're just going to have beefier characters, then I'm not I don't think this card ends up being very good. I also think paying 4 for a 2/3 is not good enough on average. I think that the format is really going to matter for stats, and I just don't think you can do it. If it gave itself strength, I think it would be interesting, right? Because then it's if they else it, at least it becomes a 4/3, but it's your other characters. There's just so many things with this character that I just don't love, and I can't think of too many cards we're gonna play this over in deck creation, and because of that, I think I'm out on it. So unfortunate. Sing Together 8. The Circle of Life, right? So the 8-cost inkable, Sing Together 8, play a character from your discard for free. Man, this card is super interesting. We can, play Mulan on turn 1. discard an absolute bomb. I don't care what it is. For the purpose of the example, I'm going to say Vincenzo, which is the 7 cost 3/8 with 3 lore that when it comes into play deals 3 damage to a character. We can play, a Troubadour and then like an Aurora. And then all of a sudden on turn 4, we can sing together 8 and put a Vincenzo into play. And that's just like one example of how this deck could go and like the type of power that this card could have. But it's very tough to say for sure. There are several ways in the game currently that allow you to play a card and make you discard a card. So there's definitely an easy way to get cards into your discard pile, so you can kind of utilize this card better. But it's kind of tough. It's very, very combo. Like I literally just said, here's a 5-card combo that starts on turn 1. Right? So, in your opening hand, you have to have an 8 cost uninkable, a 7 cost uninkable. You have to have the Mulan, and then you have to have 2 singers, and like every other card you play has to be inkable, right? Like, so that's a lot that has to go right to make this card its absolute best, probably. Obviously, in Amber Ruby, you can potentially shift Powerline into play on turn 4 and then sing Circle of Life, but like, how did you get a card in the discard pile? Like, those are the things that I'm kind of thinking about. So yeah, I think that this card being an Amber makes a ton of sense. I think the effect is very good, but it's very hard to evaluate if this card is particularly like a bomb or not. There's just a lot of things that have to go right for you to make this card the best it can be. So I don't know. Very tough. Very, very tough. But still a very awesome card. Cool card to see it. Obviously, this is probably one of the songs that, for me growing up, is one of the more memorable ones. I think Lion King was probably one of the first movies I had seen in theaters for Disney. That and like Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is obviously canceled, so we don't talk about it, but it's Bruno. But yeah, so excited to see Circle of Life in the game, but I don't know. It's very, very tough. I will say in Infinity, this card might be very interesting as well, but I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. I think we're going this way now, right? Pongo got the reprint. I think this is a great reprint. 3 cost 3/2 is not the greatest for stats, but it does enable that draw potential. So, revealing characters on the top of our deck and drawing them, I think is great. So I think Pongo is a very solid reprint again. It just adds a little bit more draw to the format. So I think that's really cool. We'll see. The Queen. I mean, I played in Chapter 1. This Queen saw a ton of play. I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough for this format, but, if there's no Maui's running around, right? We haven't seen Maui get reprinted yet, and hopefully the Hero of the All does not get reprinted. But if there's no Maui's running around and, the Amethyst decks are able to figure out a way to stave off the aggression from the Steel decks, then I think the Queen has potential to be a good include as like a 1 or 2 of for like late game control mirrors. So I can totally see that. So we'll have to see, but I think it has potential. I think it does. Also, I believe this was downshifted. This was a super rare, I believe, that went to a rare. So that's notable as well. Mulan gets the reprint. 3 cost inkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore with support. I don't know. This card's fine. We haven't seen it see a lot of love in the past. Notable with World's Greatest Criminal Mind. Like, you can, quest and then play World's Greatest Criminal Mind, take some cards out. There's some things like that, but I don't know. Super tough. Super tough. I find out my Platinum gets the reprint. Unfortunately, I don't really see item decks being a factor just yet. It lost a lot of its best cards. There are no Popsicles. There are no Fortispheres currently. There are no Lucky Dime currently. Like, there's just like none of these cards that are seeing play. So because of that, I don't think that we'll require I find out my Platinum. But maybe if we get longer into rotation and something else sees like a good print. A lot of bards part during, and I'm here for it. We'll talk about that at the end. Be King Undisputed is a 4-cost uninkable 4-cost Ruby Song. Each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. There was definitely a card for a time that this card was very good. I think that it's at its prime in set 4 when it was printed, where you had, rabbits and goats and Maui here all, where you play your rabbit on 4 and then turn 5, all of a sudden you can, run a Maui in and then sing Be King Undisputed with the rabbit. And like, that was like a 1-2 punch. So it was very, very powerful. But this card has definitely fallen off in a big way. But what I will say is, there is not a lot of removal in the format. And the only punish I see for this card is that it is fairly easy to go wide. And because of that, this card might not be like particularly good. There's also not a lot of good like at face value removal. So it's very easy for like an opponent to just leave a 1-cost, 1-lore like random character just ready the whole time. So it protects their more powerful characters. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I do think that this card, like by default, is better than the majority of the format in removal. So therefore, it'll probably definitely see play. I also think this is one that was downshifted. I believe this card was a rare. Now it's an uncommon. I will say that a lot of the rares, the uncommon for removal, is very, very good for the limited format. So that's a step in the right direction, is that we're going to have a little bit more removal and limited. And I'm definitely here for that. All right, so Powerline Musical Superstar is a 3-cost inkable, 4-strand, 3 willpower, 1 lore with the ability Electric Move. If you played a song this turn, this character gains Rush this turn. It's a rare. I think that this card is a very easy comparison to Fox, right? Like the 3-cost 4/3 stat line kind of makes sense. But we're kind of locked into what cards can we sing on turn 3 to get the most of this card. So obviously we saw Be Our Guest. We know Heffalumps and Woozles. I'm sure there's like a couple other cards that like I'm not thinking about, but we now have to have our 2-cost stick. Our 2-cost can't challenge. It has to be able to sing. And then you're still like setting up this line that feels probably infinitely worse than Fox, right? Like Fox being able to, quest with a card or challenge with a card and then pick it back up, put it back in your hand, get another use out of it was all very relevant because it was just dependent on 2 cards. But now we're talking about like a potential 3-card combo where we need our 2-cost character to be able to sing to then give this card rush. So you need another card involved. Very tough. But I think in a format that doesn't have a lot of rush, if there's a way to figure out how to consistently give this character rush on turn 3, then this card will end up being very good. If it turns out that there isn't a good way to do that, then this card might fall off a little bit. As a 3-cost 4/3, it might simply be good enough just as a shiftable target for the greatest singer, right? And that just also might be a default line, because obviously shifting the best musical rock star on 4 and then singing literally whatever you want that has a lot of value. So I don't know. We'll see. I do love this epic, by the way, but we have Max Scoop, which is a 3-cost 4/3 singer 5, and this character can't move to locations. I genuinely thought that it was a comical addition. Obviously, I know that it's very flavorful. I get all those things, but it is one of those where, we can compare it to Ariel, human legs, right? She can't sing, so it was a lot fitting. I think that this card also being a 4/3 is good. I think what you're seeing is that a lot of times there was so many cards in the game that had lower strength, higher willpower, and it made them weak to a certain subset of cards, where now you're seeing it the reverse. So now it's just going to become like, what cards are we going to get that are able to remove these cards? Is Singer 5 even relevant in the format? To my knowledge, I don't think we've had a 5-cost song revealed yet for Ruby, so I'm not exactly sure what this card is here to sing just yet. And if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. So yeah, there's some interesting questions about this Max Goof. Is just like, what is it really doing? Like, do we need this card? And that's kind of where I'm at with it so far. But beautiful epic for sure. This also got an epic, which is cool. Yeah, so shout out to Podcana. They got the world's greatest criminal mind, and I won't lie. This one would have been really funny for us to reveal, because for those of you that don't know, this was actually the very first card that the Forbidden Mountain got to reveal in Disney Lorcana. So it would have been really comical if we had the ability to reveal this card again. I don't know. I definitely would have done something funny with just like reclipping the old video, probably. But I think it's good to see this card reprinted in general. So, having World's Greatest Criminal Mind be another removal card in the format, I think is important. And then again, it being uncommon, I think is pretty relevant. So this is nice. This is probably the best answer we have to Maui Shark in the format, right? Just a straight up banish your character, which is great. So I don't know. We'll see. I do think that like 5 strength, 5 willpower is a factor in the format. So any of those cards that might start seeing play, the idea that Amber just has an answer to them it's definitely not irrelevant. So good reprint for sure. The Enchantress got reprinted. Just the fact that this is a inkable 2-lore character, and we also got Curse Merfolk. There's some other options that we have in the Emerald package for 2-lore. I think that this card might have a chance to see play just because, like literally just because it's 2-lore and it's inkable. I think the aggressive decks will consider playing this card for a time. It does go to a 3 strength on the kickback, which is not irrelevant. And, if they fire the cannons it's no different than them firing the cannons, kind of like anything that they could fire the cannons. So I think that it's all kind of fine. So, shout out to Boba Fett here for the reveal. The Lorcana Librarian, she revealed the Ursula's Shell Necklace. This is a card that I loved for about 3 weeks in Chapter 1 when we only had 50 cards. This is so tough to say. I feel like if the format were slower, this card would have had a chance to be good, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be true. While the format is powered down, I still think the format is very fast, and I just cannot figure out a time where you're going to be able to take a turn off to play this card. And I don't even really know a time where you're going to be able to have like an extra resource laying around to even utilize the draw effect, right? So I think because of that, like Ursula's Shell Necklace is just like not going to be it. It's not going to be good enough. It's going to fall flat. Cruella de Vil. So Cruella de Vil is a 3-cost, uninkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 1 lore with the ability Out of Season. Once during your turn, whenever a character costs 2 or less is banished, put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exert it. And the ability Insulting Remark. During your turn, each opposing character with cost 2 or less gets -1 strength. I don't think this card's that good. Like during your turn, whenever a character with 2 or less is banished, is just not good. Like if this was during your opponent's turn, I think it's closer, just because it's like, hey, I still get my lore, and then you can banish my card, and then I get to ramp. Like that seems okay. Like during your turn, each opponent character, like that just seems very irrelevant text. I just like, man, I don't even think that matters, right? Like we're talking about Under the Sea here. Like if this was like all characters get -1 strength, then yeah, I think that like this card would be totally obtainable, right? I don't even agree with this. Ludwig already goes to your Inkwell. Like I guess like you can get 2 ink with him, but then you have to find something to do with your Ludwig. Like I don't know. I really don't know. I like you're like in order for you to play Ludwig, that means you have now played a 2-cost 1/1 and then a 3-cost 2/3, right? So you've taken 2 turns off and probably not banished a single card, right? Like that does not actually sound very good. Like, and I'm just talking about practicality. Like, I like the idea that we can like we can ramp too. Like that sounds cool. But if we don't have any way to banish characters along the way, then like ramping is not irrelevant. We're not ramping to be prepared, right? Like, yeah, but like, what are we doing with that 6 ink? What are we doing with it? Like, what is coming to play on 6 ink that's going to do anything relevant in that combination of cards? That's where I'm kind of at. I just don't know if like that's like true or not. So that's kind of part of the problem. I don't know. I think that this card needed to be a 3/3 to have a like to just be better. And I think even if it was 3/3, I'm still not sure that it's good enough. But 3-cost uninkable, 2 strength, 1 lore. I think effects that on average are not good enough. I feel like this card just falls short. Ursula, 5-cost inkable, 3 strength, 4 willpower. With the ability Sing for Me. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing ready character. Then you may play a song with cost equal to or less than the exerted character's cost for free. This card is super interesting, but I'm not convinced yet. I think if this card was a 4/4, we would be a lot closer. I think that by design, being the 3/4 is relevant. I think having 1 lore is relevant. So, yeah, man, I don't know. This is so tough. Like, if Friends of the Other Side was in the format, I would maybe buy into it, right? Like, but yeah, like you have to have a target. The target has to match what you want it to be. It has to specifically target a ready character, right? Like if you didn't have to choose a ready character and you could choose any character, even if it was exerted, I think this card has a little bit more of a chance because it becomes like this weird Naveen, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think this card probably falls short. I don't think we're gonna get there, which is kind of sad, but just truthful. I don't know. I will say this Enchanted Cruella does look beautiful. Eeyore. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is good for limited. I don't think that this is going to be nearly playable enough for constructed though. But it's nice to see our friend back. LeFou. So this is a very interesting one, right? Like this is another character that gets downshifted. It was a rare, but now it's an uncommon. So that's notable. Readying characters in a format with Tiana is certainly a thing. Readying Pluto certainly feels like a thing. So LeFou might see some fringe play. I think this card is definitely a choice for deck building. Where like in the past it really hasn't been. Like it's obviously come up from time to time. But I think that there's at least a defensible reason right now that says, okay, I could play LeFou. Captain Hook. Shout out to Artifacts and Friends. 4-cost uninkable, 3/4, 1 lore. With the ability double the powder. When you play this character, you may return an action card named Fire the Cannons from your discard to your hand. I definitely think that Fire the Cannons is a playable card in the format. Whether or not we can afford to play a 4-cost uninkable 3/4 with 1 lore to get back a Fire the Cannons is pretty arguable. Obviously, in the past, this really was never true, and I feel like it still might not be true. but it is interesting. I think that like maybe Sapphire Steel has a chance. Aside from that, I'm not crazy about it. Like maybe Ruby Steel has a chance. Like if we're just trying to be, how many one cost things can we get back that does damage? Like I don't know. It's very tough. Obviously the card's never been super meta relevant. So because of that, I'm not convinced that all of a sudden it's going to be now. But tough to say. It's essentially also the Spear that allows you to play a song instead of rushing into the character. Yeah, but like what song? What song? What song? All right, let's take a quick coffee break. How's everyone doing this morning? Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope it's fun. I hope it's chill. We got the Lorecast coming up not too long from now. Shout out to our friend JDZ. He'll be hanging out in the Lorecast again today. Greg, we're going to talk about Greg the Knight on the pod. So don't forget, if you're not, we'll be back tonight around 8:30 p.m. Way to steal your cup. Hold on. There it is. Look, it's Ariel, guys. It's Ariel. It's fine. I'm not stealing anyone's cup, okay? They're in the shelf, and they're all choices, okay? Like, we're not... It's just there. It's just the one I grabbed. What do you want to see reprinted, Dan? Well, I have a whole video on that, friend. Honestly, a lot of the cards that I wanted to see have already been revealed. For cards that haven't been, I really, really, really want Cinderella Stouthearted, which is very comical for all the OG fans that know my hatred for that character. But I do think that she would be a really good reprint. I think that if we got her and we got the 2-cost 2/2 Knight, that would be really, really fun for the format. I think it would be pretty good. And I think that she would finally be more of a stapled card. But I don't know. That's like the one card that I think that it has not been reprinted yet. We haven't seen it be revealed. I don't know if we're out of slots for it. I'm never the kind of guy that follows along on the slots of like what is left and what isn't left. So probably not as helpful, but yeah. Quick housekeeping. Shout out to our sponsors, Heavy Play. If you're looking for a sweet new deck box, they are one of the best. I was using it all weekend long at Gen Con. We actually have a video coming out for Heavy Play soon where it's going to be kind of a way for someone to win a sweet prize from the video. So be on the lookout for that one. But, if you're ever looking for it, you can head to Heavy Play. Use TFM10 at checkout for 10% off. And to our other sponsors, Codex Journal. You can go to codexjournals.com/theforbiddenmountain, and you can use the code Codex offer 5359 at checkout for 10% off. This was a thing that honestly every single person that I have seen that has played against me has asked me about the journal. It is awesome. The journal really is great. Definitely for any level of play, in my humble opinion. If you're looking for just a nice journal that like keeps your lore and also has the ability to really help you track matchups, really help you take good notes. I think this is like one of my favorite things that if anyone has ever brought to me is this journal. I really, really think that this journal is just amazing. And I definitely think you should check it out. Check out the website because they're great. They really are. You can see the Amber Amethyst thing covers here, but that can be any in combination of your choice. I obviously have an Amethyst Steel one. But yeah, huge shout out to Codex Journals, huge shout out to Heavy Play. Thank you for your continued support of TFM. Flex the hat. Yeah, we do have the Heavy Play hat. I do love it. It's showing up on the green screen today, which is exciting for me. That's great. My only argument against that is removal sucks. And yeah. Hey, we just got World's Greatest Criminal Mind. All right. Like we just got it. Like it might be the only answer for her, which might be a good enough reason to not reprint her. Very, very fair. Very, very fair. Let's come back. So, boom. Yeah, so here's our Mulan, the reprint, the injured soldier. She comes in with 2 damage on her, so she's a 2/3. And then of course, 5 cost, 5/5 with 2 lore. Listen, stats are good. I'm not saying this card is playable, but hey, it is a 5 cost 5/5, and like, maybe that's good enough. Probably not, but it would not shock me if this card randomly shows up in decks. I will say that much. Genie gets the reprint. So this Genie, man, I forget exactly what this card does, but it's something like Quest. I think it's like when it quests, you draw 3 cards, right? Is that what this Genie does? 4 cost, inkable or uninkable, 3 strength, 5 willpower, 1 lore, and I believe like on Quest, you get to banish it, right? Does he banish himself? I forget. This card's never really seen a ton of play. It showed up fringely in like Jafar wheel decks, which obviously we don't have anymore. So I'm not crazy about it. I think that we're almost always playing. It shuffles in. Okay, yeah. So it does get rid of itself. So it like you have to pay for uninkable. It's got to survive in Quest, which for what it's worth, right now 5 willpower on turn 4 is not nothing. So there is a good chance that this card does get to draw you cards, and maybe that's good enough. I don't know. Hard to say for sure, but it certainly is a card that for a delayed effect, maybe it's good enough. I don't want to write it off right away, just because the format does not have a ton of draw. But what I will argue is that in the aggro matchups, this card is absolutely unplayable. So, like, therefore, we would need to get to a portion of the metagame where aggro is not just an easy dominant factor. And I don't think that that's going to happen very, very early. So maybe if the format finds a way to slow down, this card could potentially be a nice way to just draw 3 cards and gain a lore. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Gaston. I think Gaston is a pretty good card for the format. Obviously Fire the Cannons is here, but my opponent has to like play Fire the Cannons, and without Fire the Cannons, it's not great. It's not like as big of a deal. I think, this card was very dominant for probably the first 3 sets of Disney Lorcana. It was very easy to play this character. Even in a world where Let the Storm Rage On was there, it was still played, and then it just eventually got statted out, or he just like there became more Steel Song decks in the format, or just more like Amber Steel decks in general that were always playing with the Storm Rage On. So therefore, just you couldn't afford to lose your 2-drop or get time walked by a Cinderella. But there are no Singer 3s on 1 anymore. There is no Let the Storm Rage On, right? So I think that because of those reasons, this card might be okay. If like 4 Fire the Cannons are all of a sudden in steel decks, then maybe I'll change my mind, and maybe this card just won't be playable for that reasoning. But 4 strength, being able to take out like all of the 4 willpower characters with your 2 cost is completely relevant. So there's a chance. There's a chance that Gaston gets a little bit more time in the sun. All right, guys, we did it. There is a board wipe in the format, and it is Under the Sea. So the 8 cost uninkable, sing the other 8, and put all opposing characters with 2 strength or less onto the bottom of their deck is back. And what I'll say about this is that we do not have Kita currently, right? I don't think that Kita is the type of card that would get downshifted into a super rare, so I'm not really worried about it at this point. So yeah, I think that we don't have Kita. Sapphire Coil is still an option. There's some other Sapphire song that lowers stuff, but on average, I don't think that there's a great way to abuse this card. And if this card becomes like the end all be all to removal, then the aggro decks will just adapt. So there might be a world where like every now and then this card becomes a very good card on a given weekend, depending on like where the state of the metagame is. But like if the aggro decks just all of a sudden have 3 strength characters, 4 strength characters, if they just go a little bit bigger, a little bit slower, then this card just becomes like not good enough, right? I also started asking the question of like, how quickly can we play this card on average? What are the type of cards that get around it? Like, there's a lot of things that kind of go on that make me feel that this card is as fair as it has ever been. And I think because of that, that it's healthy. So I'm very excited that we have a board wipe. I think we desperately needed it. I think that this card is certainly a playable card in the format, but it's just not it's not abusable. Like right now, you know, in the Amber Emerald discard deck, Amber Emerald songs, like whatever, Amber Emerald muses, like we don't have muses anymore. We don't have Prince Shot anymore. We don't have Diablo anymore, right? Like none of these cards are likely to exist. So we don't have the whole ward package. So like it's very hard to just set up the board and not be interacted with for you to even sing together 8. So then I start looking like, okay, like what decks can be able to do this? I think like Sapphire Emerald can probably do this. I think that Emerald Ruby can probably play this. But is it good enough? And that is what I think over the next month or so will become one of the biggest questions is like, how good can this board wipe be? So I don't know. You can let me know in chat where you are with Done to See. I think that right now it's a 50-50. I think it's a coin flip. I won't be shocked if it ends up being good for a little bit. I will not at all be shocked if this card just ends up being not actually playable. So we'll see. Winnie the Pooh gets the reprints. 3 cost, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 2 lore, honeypot. Whenever this character quests, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down. This is definitely a card that was never very relevant, never very good. Again, I go back to stats. I think stats are everything. And I think that playing a 3 cost 2/3 that likely will not challenge to remove anything, just a quest and put a card in your inkwell. It sounds good, but in an aggro metagame or in a very, like stats oriented metagame, you have to take a card from your hand. It's not like you're getting it from your deck. So you're still like have to sacrifice another card. So there's no real value being gained. And because of that, I think this card will remain very likely in the unplayable category. The Queen, Mirror Seeker. The 4 cost, Inkable, 2 strength, 5 willpower, 1 lore, calculating, and vain. Whenever this character quests, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. Would you like any of the 2 or 3 lore reprinted Maleficent, Pinocchio, Lilo? No. just no. I think the format is very aggressive, and I really don't want to see those cards reprinted. I think that if you reprint more of the 1 cost, specifically, in Amber, with Tiana right now, right? Having Daisy Duck, having Lilo, having Tiana, like all of these 2 lore cards that are just good, and not a lot of like really great 1 cost cards for players to like really want to play, then no, I don't want this card to reprint it. I think that the aggro decks are just fine. Team TFM has already been playtesting with what we have, and they don't need Lilo. They don't need Maleficent. They just don't need those cards. I think the deck is already very good. I think the deck already demands questions to be answered by your opponents that are very difficult to answer. So adding another 2 lore character that costs 1, or like a 3 lore character that costs 2, yeah, please don't. I don't want them. I don't want them. Yeah, I think the Queen is probably unplayable, and like before, this card will not see any play. Hades, what a good reprint, right? So yeah, our 7 cost uninkable Infernal Schemer here is the 3 strength, 6 willpower, 2 lore with the ability. Is there a downside to this? When you play this character, you may put chosen opposing character into their player's inkwell face down. This enchanted is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, like this card is beautiful. I really think this card is just incredibly beautiful. I think that this card is great. We got Maleficent Dragon, we got Hades now. can Ruby Sapphire go back to its roots without Be Prepared, without Sisu? Like, is it at all like has any potential to just be like, okay, I'm gonna have 8 removals in my deck that are just a character with 2 lore? I don't know. I might not be good enough. I don't know if we have enough rush characters to make that happen. But those are like the things that I think of it. I also obviously think that Hades is phenomenal in Sapphire Amethyst. It's the removal that they were certainly looking for a reprint. It's very good right now in the current game for them. So I think all in all, this is one of the better reprints. It might be the best legendary reprint. I think that's like a fair argument. So yeah, I think this is perfect for the format. I think this does everything that you want to do in a slower down format. And I'm very, very excited for it. So that's good. We talked about the queen already. Did we already full circle? I broke it, guys. Hold, please. Oh no, it broke. What happened? Okay. We'll just hit the button. There we go. We'll figure it out. We'll get back to it. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Here. Look at this family. 7 cost, inkable, sing together 7. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal up to 2 character cards and put them into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. I am super excited for Look at this family. I actually, let's see if it's here still on my desk. I think it is somewhere. Oh, here it is. I just yesterday, TFM Nana opened and enchanted Look at this family. So good timing. Hopefully this card goes up in value. Yeah, I think this is a great reprint. Again, I was very adamant in the last video about, reprints for Sing Together. And I am very excited that we are seeing a lot of the set 4 like playable Sing Togethers get reprinted. So that makes me very excited. This adds a little bit more draw to Amber again. I think the writing's on the wall, guys. Rapunzel's not coming back. So you're going to have to be happy with Look at this family and Surfer Stitch and, like whatever else, like Be Our Guest and things like that. I think that's just like the word are going to live. And you're going to have to remove the crutch that was Rapunzel for all of eternity. I know she wasn't a crutch. She's absolutely broken. But yeah, I think that this is a healthy move for the game and getting away from Rapunzel. So all in all, I think Look at this family is great. I think it's definitely playable in the format. Shere Khan, 3 cost, inkable, 3 strength, 3/3. 1 lore. Whenever one of your characters challenges another character, gain 1 lore. Don't insult my intelligence. I always loved the name of that ability. I don't know. Like, this card's probably not good enough, but with the amount of challenging going on, maybe it ends up being relevant. Very tough to say. It would not shock me if this all of a sudden ends up in some decks, but I'm not like excited to go and play this card. That's kind of where I'm at. So that's kind of where I would be at right now. Dan broke the internet. What else is new? Lilo, 3 cost, inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore, with the ability, come on, people, let's move. When you play this character, your other characters gain Challenger +2 this turn, and the ability, go get 'em. Whenever this character quests, chosen alien character gains Challenger 2, and this character can challenge ready characters this turn. So we get a mini Cricky, which I do think is relevant. I do wish this card had 2 lore. I think if this was a 2/2 with 2 lore, I'm a lot more excited about it. I think if this was a 3 cost 2/4, I'm a lot more excited about it. But a 3 cost 2/2, I feel like you might get this off. Hey, what's up, Kim? I think you might get this off like once, and then your opponent is weary of it. I think if we can make this work with cards like Diablo and cards like Cusco, then maybe we're closer. But I don't know. Very tough. I do think that it's certainly a card that's worth looking at. And I think that that's important, is that when we're looking at these new cards that are coming out, which ones like do I need to start testing? And I think that there's a place that this card ends up being playable. So very likely that like it would not shock me at all to see this card in decks early on. So I don't know. We'll see. Did we go full circle? Are we back? Are we back? Well, not yet. Little John. Little John's 2 cost, uninkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore. What a beautiful brawl. When you play this character, choose 1. Chosen hero character gains resist 2 this turn. Deal 2 damage, chosen villain character. I have very little hope for this card, but you know, that's just bad. Flavorful, I'm sure. 2 cost, uninkable, 2/2. Probably not. I think I'm out. Mufasa gets the reprint, 6 costs, stats, right? Like 6 cost inkable, 4/6, 3 lore, just stats, just vanilla. I don't think this card will see any play, but you know. Hey, shout out to our release event. If you are in if you're in the Philadelphia area, South Jersey area, Delaware, you want to come up, you want to hang out with us on August 30th, we are hosting an 8-case event. I am very hopeful that this event will be a 10-case event, and it's 128 players. It's for a great community center, which I'm very excited to be working with. They kind of enable us the room. I just want to let you guys know that this floor plan is actually big enough for 163 players. If we wanted to, we are capping it at 128, but it does mean that side events will be around. It'll be there. It'll be available. So if you want to come and hang out with some of us with the Forbidden Mountain, of course, shout out to our wonderful affiliates, the Encounter. Encounter is a store that we've been working with for many, like almost years now at this point. I've also been, I've been a customer of the Encounter since I was like 17 years old. So they're a great, I love Keith. I love the whole crew there. They're all really wonderful. This is an event that normally we do at their store, where their store is kind of capped at 59 players. We found a way to make it affordable for us to go into a bigger room, be a little bit more inviting, have people come out. And it is a little closer to us at home here. So, this is only about 25 minutes from my house, where the Encounter is an hour and 30 minutes from my house. So it is nice for us at TFM to kind of have this. We're going to have 2 vendors on site. We're going to be firing side events. A lot more details are going to be coming out as we get closer to the event, but these tickets are on sale already. I will get this for you guys. We'll just copy and paste this real quick and put it in the chat. But, if you're looking to come out, tickets are on sale already and more details to come. But I am very, very excited for this event. It's really good for me for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, I helped host and produce, PPG Denver. So this is kind of like the first time that I'm really playing the tournament organizer as a role for me. So I'm excited to kind of take on another role in Disney Lorcana as I continue to grow and find things that I believe that I'm good at. So thank you for anyone that's already signed up. I think we're already hit 30 registrations for the event, which is awesome. At 64 players, we're going to go to 9 cases. And at 96 players, we're going to go to all 10 cases. And I am very, very hopeful that we will hit that 96 player. So pretty exciting. Tinkerbell gets the reprint. The 4 cost, uninkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower. The ability make a new friend. She has 1 lore. And then when you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I think this Tinkerbell has always been very close, and I'm still not sold. This card needed to be a 3 cost, if I'm being honest. If this was a 3 cost uninkable 1/4, and we could shift all like right away into Big Tink, then this card would probably be a playable card today. I don't know that at 4 if it's good enough. I think in the format that stats matter, like having a 4 cost uninkable 1/4 is just not where I want to be. So I think it's going to fall off. So I will quickly show off and answer this. Will it be streamed? Technically. What I'm going to do is that on Saturday during the event, I am going to record all of the games. And then on Sunday, you will find me here and we are going to be streaming the games. I'm going to have some commentators from around the Disney Lorcana fans. If I haven't reached out to you yet, which by the way, I haven't reached out to anyone yet. So if you're interested, if you're any of my friends, you're casting friends, you're hanging out in chat, you're watching this and you want to do some of that commentating with me, that Sunday, we're going to be back here. We're going to be live streaming the event. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to record all the games on Saturday, and then I'm going to live stream the games on Sunday with live commentary. There's a couple reasons we're doing this. One, it's our first event. It's the first event that I'm ever TOing, and I really want to focus on the tournament organizer aspect, and I don't want to lose the content. Two, I'm not comfortable yet with the streaming from the venue. So I don't know if we could even really truly stream the venue. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have the time to go and test it before the event goes off. So I really don't want to stream an event if I don't think the internet can hold up. Will there be some type of a live stream that day from the event? Probably. There's a very good chance that I might, just go live from my phone or something like that, just to kind of test the waters of the room in the event. But the plan is to record everything and then on Sunday be back here live on the channel and kind of live stream the event that way. That's the current plan. So if anything changes, I will let you guys know. But right now, that's kind of what we're hopeful for. So yeah, I don't think this Tinkerbell's gonna be good enough. I think that she's sadly just understated, and because of that, we won't see her. Aladdin, Prince Ali, the 2-cost inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower, 1 lore with ward. I don't know. The card is seeing play now, and I do think it's good. I think this could be an option for the Emerald Ruby decks. If you really, if I'm talking about the Rush Powerline card that really needs a character that's going to sing on turn 2, and we have enough singable Emerald cards, maybe we just stick this Aladdin on 2 as a ward card that always hits a sing on 3. So our card has Rush, but as I said before, now we're talking about these wombo combos of cards that we need to go right to get this thing off. And I just don't know. I don't know if that's good enough. So I feel like this card, meh is where I'm at. Meh. Hidden Cove. So obviously Hidden Cove is the 1-cost inkable, 1 to move to, 6 willpower with the ability Revitalizing Wooders. Characters get +1 strength and +1 willpower while here. I think this card is very interesting. It might start out to where we're looking for a place for this card, and maybe it feels too slow, but I think that there are a lot of 3 strength characters, a lot of 4 willpower characters that for 1 more to gain that extra willpower, to gain that extra strength, it just makes the math in combat a lot more favorable for you. And I think because of that, Hidden Cove might find some home. And obviously, this is a card that has been, synonymous with Diablo, I would say, on average. And maybe that's a reason why people aren't excited about it. And I totally get that. But I do think in a Challenge Matters format, in a combat-oriented format, that Hidden Cove feels like a playable card. And 6 willpower for 1 is noticeable. It doesn't gain lore, so I don't think that your opponents are gonna really, they're gonna care too much about this card on average. So you kind of just get it away with it being in play for free. I don't know. It's tough. I think it's very tough. I think this card definitely has some potential though. So because we've seen how good it has been in the past, it will not shock me if this card ends up seeing play. So yeah, I don't know. But I think it's a very reasonable choice. I really do. I think we're there. I think we did it. Did we do it? Oh, not yet. Atlantica. Yeah, I don't see a reason for this card, guys. I'm not in. I'm not in. We talked about Alice already. Okay, so we can talk about these cards. Let's. So interesting. Here's a. Okay, so all these cards are from set 6 or above. So we don't have to worry about any reprints, right? I was actually about to ask a question like, do we know if these cards are legal for the format? But everything here is set 6 or above. So the answer is yes. I think that this is really cool. I am not a Disney Cruise person, so I don't know the full extent of how you acquire these cards. I think that there's some Disney Cruises going on that has the ability for you to purchase Disney Lorcana product, and this is one of the featured products that you can purchase. If Melissa is still hanging out in chat with me, she can confirm that. She probably knows the answer. I think that that's what's going on here. So I love the art on this card. I love the waves. I think that's super cool. It reminds me of the inked from the like Ursula's Quest, like the inked cards. Like that's really, really cool. TFM Team Cruise. I think Nate and Colby would probably love that. I'm sure TFM Kylie would love that. One is a purchase from the ship. The rest are participation/gifts. Got it. Got it. You guys are giving TFM Kylie too many ideas. I don't know how I feel about this. I thought you got them through the quest event. That also might be possible. I don't know if there's any more images of these things. I know that there was more. There was more, I think, that were revealed. So I think some of them are through the quest. But it is notable for this concept. What is a question that's going to need to be asked for Ravensburger employees is, will these cards be considered reprints for the next rotation? God, guys, you're killing me. You're killing me, guys. So yeah, I wonder if this is like the first potential confirmed reprints for the like next year's rotation. That is a question that Ravensburger is going to have to answer. So who knows? Is there anything else? Tinkerbell, Tiny Tactician. Shout out to Zebex, I believe, was our reveal for this one. So, the 3-cost inkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore with battle plans. Exert, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. This is another card that shifts perfectly well into Big Tink. So I think that's kind of cool. And because of that, Tiny Tactician might be back. This card might be playable. I think, again, the 4 willpower is relevant. So she doesn't just necessarily get banished by everything. Rochelle, I believe, said the parameters do not count as reprints. Beautiful. Thank you. I am sure that at some point I will be corrected, and I'm glad that this has already been said. The Queen. This is probably scaring everyone. So yeah, 1 cost 2/2 with 1 lore, but it's back. I'm scared. I'm worried. We've seen this character do some dangerous things in the past. Fire the Cannons did get officially revealed by Harlan Sweetie. Thank you, Harlan. Sapphire Steel enthusiast, so makes a lot of sense for him to get that reveal. Can get behind it. This is the normal version of the Lelio that we talked about earlier. And then I think we're just back in player picks. Shout out to TFM Alex there. And yeah, I think that is it. I think we officially covered everything. I will hit reload. I don't know if there was any more cards that came out while I was yapping. It does not look so. So I think with that, we may have done them all. It took us an hour and 45 minutes, but I think we officially got there, which is awesome. So yeah. Thoughts? Where are we at, guys? Are we happy so far? By the way, as far as I'm concerned here, Dreamborn still doesn't have updates, which makes me sad. It does make me sad. I was hopeful that like Dreamborn was updating things, but it doesn't look that way. And I can't build decks yet. I mean, like you can, but you can't because the new cards aren't there yet, right? Let me see. Did they get updated this morning? Let's see. It's loading. No. So we're still not there yet. Although, we have our first one. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Did Fable? There's actually a reprint on here now. So here it is. Oh, I might be wrong. Yeah, it's funny. I'll show you guys. What I got so far. So hopefully this means it's coming, which is good. But boom, this is it. We got Ariel. The only card so far is Ariel, but it does mean that like officially Fabled is there in the filters because it does say Fabled. I think before this just said set 9, so that's good. So hopefully that means in the coming days, Dreamborn will be putting in the work and getting these cards up, which is great because everyone wants to start deck building. And listen, guys, I need to start making some deck videos. So I need my deck list up to date. So that's great. There was a question in our Discord actually about if like deck builders like Dreamborn will be able to make it easy for you to build decks. And the good news is that we have these filters, so all we have to really do is go Shimmering Skies, Azurite Sea, Arcadia's Island, and Range of Far, and then you're going to still be able to. It's unfortunate that you have to go through the extra trouble to filter it, but that's kind of life. It's okay. I don't really expect it. The only other thing that Dreamborn could do is, oh wow, never mind. They already did it, guys. Dreamborn's the best. Shout out to Dreamborn. You can just click format, core construct it, and then you don't have to filter. That's great. You just go like this, and you say goodbye to everything, and then we're there anyway. That's actually phenomenal. I'm super excited that they included that. So there you go. All you have to do is go to filters, go to core constructed or infinity, and boom, you're good. Love that. Absolutely love that. So yeah, for those that you do not know, spoilers, we have a reveal tonight. That's right. It's coming. If you want to hang out with us for the premiere of that reveal, ours is at 11 p.m. tonight. I know it's late. I'm sorry, but that was the time slot that was available. So it'll be over on YouTube. Love that for you. This will be over on YouTube at 11 p.m. There will be another stream tonight for the Forbidden Mountain. I will be back with Dick tonight. It'll just be me and Dick. We're going to be talking about Gen Con as a whole, and then we're going to be talking about everything that was talked about and discussed with, we had a lot of time to talk with marketing. We had a lot of time to talk with some game devs. So we had a lot of conversations about Disney Lorcana at Gen Con with our friends that we got to meet. We were invited to some events that was for content creators and things like that. So everything that happened at Gen Con will be discussed tonight, and then we will conclude by pitching to the premiere of our reprint for set 9. So hopefully you guys are there for that and hanging out. You definitely, if for whatever reason you have not, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll put it in chat real quick. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Copy, paste. Kapow. There you are. You can have fun. And we will see you over on YouTube tonight. If you're watching on Twitch or Facebook right now, again, we'll be back tonight, I think around 8:30 p.m. I think that's the plan. I have not confirmed time with Dick Burns yet, but normally 8:30 is our soft start. So we'll probably come in, we'll hang out a bunch. Maybe we'll have some impromptu friends join us. Maybe I'll put some feelers out there, see if anybody wants to come and chat about some stuff. But the current plan is Gen Con and everything related to Gen Con, the conversations around that. And then, of course, we'll probably get into some Fabled chat by design. And we will lead into our reveal for tonight, which, again, is at 11 p.m. So if you haven't yet, definitely, follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, hit the like button for me if you've been hanging out on Facebook. You guys were absolutely awesome today. I'm already losing my voice, and I have a whole other live stream to do today. So with that, I am going to say thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being interactive. Hopefully we got some nice chatter about Fabled. All in all, I'm excited. I think that it's going to be good. I think there's some concerns, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to talk about them until the full set's revealed. But there are some concerns about the format. But it at worst, if the format is only 10 weeks long, because Whispers in the Well is coming out 2 weeks earlier than normal, I think we'll be okay. I think that it'll be okay. But it is notable that we have, 2 DLCs, some CCQs, and like the format is definitely important. So it's not, you can't afford to skip it. Like a lot of players kind of skipped this format, I think, like 1 through 8. They just said, like, you know what, rotation's coming. I'm just not going to care. I'm not going to like really, I'll just take a break and it'll be summer and I'll just relax. So I think that that's not really a choice for this. Like if you're coming back for rotation, you're going to have to play this format. You're going to have to know everything about it. And we're going to do our best on the channel to kind of just give as much information about it as we learn it. And that's really why I need Dreamborn, because like we've been testing now since the reveals have started coming. We've also known that it was mostly reprints. So we even, we started doing just like in general post-rotation format testing. Shout out to Braden. He's a friend at the channel. He actually had a space that he does on Wednesday nights now. So if you want to hear him talk about post-rotation, that's cool. Also, Jeremy from Club Lorcana is having a space. They were talking about it on Monday. I was actually on the channel on Monday, so shout out for Jeremy for letting me kind of come on and talk about Gen Con and things like that. But there's a lot of post-rotation already being discussed and kind of talked about, because there's nothing now. This is the last weekend of set championships. No one's gonna like go out there, build some crazy new shenanigans and figure out a set champ. Like it's just, it's not gonna happen. But hopefully by this time next week, we have the full reveal, and then we can just like really get into content. That's what I'm hopeful for. I hope that by then we know everything. We're able to start building decks. We're able to start talking about decks, and I'm very excited for the channel in general for those reasons. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with me so much. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact and you haven't yet, hit the like button for me, share with your friends. And that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to rest my voice, and I will be back at 8:30 tonight with Dick Burns talking everything Gen Con. See you guys later.